Hello again, and thank you for joining us. So you have just seen the online dramatized reading of Joe Strummer Takes a Walk by the Spanish playwright Juan Alberto Salvatierra in an English translation by Finch and directed by Jorge de Juan and performed by Robert Bradley. So we have the pleasure of having them here with us to speak about the play and answer any questions that you may have. You can write your questions on our YouTube comment section or on Twitter or our email address. So I'll open the Q&A with some of the questions that some of you have already asked. The first question is by Francisco José Salvatierra to Robert Bradley. He says, Mr. Bradley, Mrs. Finch mentioned before that translating this play meant a challenge, given that Joe Strummer was a real person and not just an invented character. Was that a challenge for you as well?
That's a great question, and we touched upon it just before we started as well. It was a challenge, yeah, because he is such a character as well. He's like anyone who knows who Joe Strummer is, and most people do, have a very definite image of him, and it's a very difficult thing as an actor to work with that kind of material, because how I interpret that character of Joe Strummer is going to be wildly different to every person. So for me, the starting point is very much the play, because it's also about when we are seeing him as well. This is 1985. The Clash are about to break up fully, properly this time, and he's at a very difficult point in his life as well. So we've seen his rise as the punk rock warlord, which is what he said he wanted on his tombstone. And he's now in this contemplative kind of place as well. So he still has that energy to it. And I think that was the key for me, is you can get those mannerisms, you can get the accents and the look and all kind of those kind of bits and pieces together. But for me, it was all about that energy that is presented within the play. And that kind of, one of the biggest kind of things about it is that kind of raw, almost anger to him, which is, in terms of the presentation of the persona of Joe Strummer, is one of the biggest elements when he's performing. And I think that was one of the biggest challenges to get into in such a quick, short space of time, because I would have loved to have spent much more time getting under the skin of that and learning more about it. But for a read like this, it's just get up, do it, go with the script and just see what happens.
You will.
Yes. I have to add that I think that you did a fantastic job. I mean, it was fantastic to see how it was coming to life. And as you said, with only 2 days rehearsal and 1 day shooting it, yeah, well, congratulations, well done. We have another question by Arturo Balasa. He asks, he says, following Francisco's question, I also ask myself, how was the challenge for you when writing this work, Juan Alberto? Did you meet Joe Strummer?
Well, I was about to say about what Robert said. His challenge was also my challenge, because when I began writing the play, I was thinking, is it a character? Is it a real person? I read a lot about Joe Strummer. I listened to Joe Strummer every single day since I started writing. But at the end, I thought, well, it is a legend. It is not a man anymore. It is like a Greek mythic, you know, and that's the point of view, and that's the point of view that I use for writing the character. I didn't know Joe Strummer. I didn't met Joe Strummer, but I live in Granada, so I met people who met Joe Strummer, and it was amazing.
Perfect, thank you. I don't know if you met Jesus Arias. That was one question that I was going to ask you.
No, I didn't meet Jesus Arias.
Okay, thank you.
I met his brother. Antonio.
Eso es lo que iba a decir, que ambos conocemos a Antonio. De hecho, sorry, I was speaking in Spanish. I was going to say that we both know Antonio Arias. He wrote a tweet already talking about this production, and he gave me as a present a book by Jesus Arias, because he was a great poet, and the poems that he wrote are magnificent. And I told Robert about the group Lagartija Nick, that it is the group of Antonio and Jesus and Eric, and that it is one of the best rock groups in the world. And in one of the most famous records that they did, that it was Omega, together with Enrique Morente, they used some of the poems, Lorca's poems, that was in the public as well.
Okay, there is another question here by Patricia Notaricéfano, sorry. She says, saludos desde Buenos Aires, Argentina. ¿Será que puede conseguirse el texto en español? Me encantaría poder leerlo. Yeah, Jorge. I was going to say about this that because Juan Alberto won the Ana Caro Award, which is an award that we did for the first time here at the Cervantes Theatre last year, together with Ediciones Antígona, and part of the award is the bilingual edition of the play. So this is a process. So we've commissioned the translation to Lauren, and basically this is the process in order to publish the bilingual edition. So it will be ready very soon. So sorry.
I must say about this that it was going to be done before, but because of the COVID-19, they told us that we couldn't do anything on paper now. So we're going to do it as an ebook first, and then next year it'll be on paper.
Mm-hmm. And basically what I was going to say is that if you're interested in having the edition, it will be available on our website. So you can, maybe if you're interested, you can email us and we can let you know once it's out. Mm-hmm. Okay, I have another question for Lawrence. So one of the things that we do here at the Cervantes Theatre, it's that we often commission translations of Spanish plays into English, and we do them in both languages. So this is a process that I think that is very interesting in order to be engaged with the translators, and part of it is that in the dramatized readings, they are an opportunity in order to share that with the audience and to keep developing that translation. So first of all, I want to hear how was listening to the words in English for the first time of this play. And as part of that process, how were you kind of seeing the play, listening to it, if you were checking things, and if there is an evolution in the translation?
I did take notes throughout the whole thing, but overall, I'm still kind of buzzing on a high of seeing it performed. It was amazing, and Robert did an amazing job. And of course, the source material was amazing. But yeah, it's a very different, it opens up, I think, different parts of the brain to hear it spoken. So there are maybe word choices or other structures that I was completely sure of and I had agonized over for days and days or weeks, and now just hearing it out loud, I'm like, oh, no, I could have chosen better. So I don't know if that answers the question, but overall, it's just been, it was really good to hear it out loud and performed.
Thank you. We have another question here by Mark.
I want to say something. I needed to listen this story in English while I was writing the play. Every time I was thinking, I need to hear this in English because it's an Englishman speaking in a Spanish drama. I think that it was very, I don't know how to say, I need this. I need to listen this in English. So thank you very much.
No, thank you. So another question by Mark Martin. He asks, are there any plans to tour the play when it is safe to do so? I think that's a question for Jorge.
Well, the first thing is that we're going to do the production next year. It was going to be done this year at the theater. And we always thought about you, Robert. And after this, there is no doubt at all that next year you will be playing here this character. And after that, hopefully, if we can, then we could go on tour. We started a tour this year as a first time for the Spanish Theatre Company with the House of Bernarda Alba by Lorca, obviously. And we went to different places in the UK, and we had to cancel it because of the COVID-19. So we, for sure, we will do it here at the theater, and we will try to go on tour. And at the same time, I was talking with a friend of Juan Alberto in order to do the play in Spain as well. And here in London, as always, we will do it in Spanish and in English.
Mm-hmm. That also answers the question that Michael Coppel was asking, if we were going to do it in Spanish. And yes, Jorge answered that question. We normally here at the theater, at the Cervantes, we do the plays in both languages. So hopefully when we open the doors again and we are able to do theater for a live audience, we'll be able to do that in both languages again. Okay, there is a question that I have for Robert, because you have worked with us before and you have done several dramatized readings of Spanish playwrights, Spanish plays in English, in translation. So first of all, what is your experience working with the Spanish plays in translation? And also in this particular case, that is the first time that we do this kind of hybrid between theater and audiovisual. How was that for you as well?
Very, very interesting. And again, going back to what we were saying before about it being quite a challenging environment, because one of the most incredible things about theatre is that live experience as a performer and as an audience member, the connection and engagement you have when performing, even with a stage reading like we would do, like we have done before. I've worked on 2 previous pieces as staged dramatized readings. And one of the things you know immediately when you walk on stage with a script is the connection you have with that audience. You find things out in front of an audience. They are the greatest test for any piece of writing. And for this production, for Joe Strummer Takes a Walk, one of the biggest challenges is how do you find that engagement? How do you temper yourself, measure yourself? How do you build live in performance when you don't have a room full of people to work with you to feel where those moments of the plays are? I mean, watching it tonight, one of the things that struck me is so many moments of lightness, of comedy, dark comedy as well, but moments to let it breathe. With an audience, you get that straight away. So I think one of the biggest challenges that we are facing right now as a theatrical community all over the world is we want to bring our work to audiences, but we also want audiences to come to the work as well. We want to see that engagement because it helps it be better. Otherwise, it's just me in a room with a script saying words, and I don't know how it is until I see it fully in the play. So that was great to see tonight as well, and I hope lots of people were able to engage with that, even if not directly.
Yeah, thank you. There is I'm just checking the questions here. Yes, there is another question. Yes, hopefully we'll be able to do the production next year in both languages. Javi Parra was asking, hopefully in Spanish and in English as well. I wanted to ask you, Juan Alberto, to tell us a little bit more about the process of writing this play and what were the challenges, how long did it take you to write the play, and also kind of what things you took from the watching the online dramatized reading tonight?
Well, it took me several months just for research, I read a lot about Joe Strummer, listened to music, watched a lot of documentaries about Joe Strummer's figure. I didn't start writing till I have those documents, those readings in my head. Once I have this, I started writing, and it was very easy writing, because it was something that I needed to write. No, it was something that I have to speed out. So writing, it was about, I don't know, maybe a couple of months or so. And this dramatized reading, well, obviously the first time I heard it in English, and it gives me a lot of I don't know how to say información.
In Spanish.
Me da un montón de retroalimentación. Ya. Me da un montón de retroalimentación, ¿no? Me pone delante un montón de cosas que todavía, pues como le ha pasado a Loren, ¿no? Que creo que todavía esto le puedo dar un giro, lo puedo cambiar.
Yeah, that you kind of receive that feedback, and now it makes you rethink things and see things from a different perspective, or kind of questioning in the different ways that you would do different sections.
Yeah. This is what we are trying to do here, Juan Alberto and Loren, and obviously Robert. What we are trying to do with these dramatized readings is that not only, as Paula said before, for the translation, that you could receive the feedback, in this case from the audience, because they can write to us and say what do they think about the translation, obviously, but the feedback of the actor as well, in my case of the director, and for the playwright as well, in order to see, and for the audience to see how this production, how this text could be done as a production. So, and that's why we are trying to do more than just a reading, just a typical reading of the actor in his room, just reading text. And because we want to the audience to imagine how it could be this as a production. So we just work a bit more and do a step higher in order to create this. And I think that in this case, and I have to say it again with Robert, it has been very, very, very easy. Robert is one of the actors, the clever actors that I've been working with. He is amazing from the very first time he arrived to the 2 days rehearsal. He came with a lot of ideas. He came with a character. He came even with the music. He worked the music with a pianist, and in this case, that she did a very wonderful job. The pianist Antonia
Clark. Yes.
Yeah, I told her that she will come one day here to play Rachmaninoff and Prokofiev and Tchaikovsky and Liszt, because it's what she does normally, without the head the head of the horse.
Yeah, I said that to Antonia as well. It's like, she will never have a weirder job than this, sitting with a horse's head from the piano.
Yes, and yes, I have to say that it was very, very, very easy to work with him, and obviously, and for sure, you will come to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that leads me to a question to you, Jorge, as well, because yes, it's a dramatized reading, but is within this pandemic and the fact that we cannot do live performances. So obviously, your vision as a director of the dramatized reading now in this hybrid format is not a theatrical performance, is not an audiovisual, is not a film, it's something in between. What was your vision, and what were your objectives for the dramatized reading?
Well, first of all, when we were thinking about doing the dramatized readings again, obviously it came the pandemic and we couldn't. So we thought in the idea of talking with Acción Cultural Española and with the Cervantes Institute and with the Spanish Embassy and the Ministerio de Cultura, in order to tell them why don't we do the same dramatized readings, and because the purpose is what I said before, why don't we do it but online, and that what we could achieve is that more people could watch a dramatized reading than the people that come one day here to the theater. Because imagine that one day, if it's full, so 80 people could come, but now with this platform, more people and in all the world can see and can know your text, and perhaps in another part of the world, they want to do the production because they have been seeing this dramatized reading. So this is what we said to Acción Cultural Española, and they said, okay, go on with it. And obviously we have to be very grateful to them because they allow us to do this in this format. And in this case, in the case of this play, what I thought, because I thought it was a very good idea from Juan Alberto, that the character is talking to a recorder and recording this for his friends. So I thought, well, it could be a camera following him as if it was someone there that night with him, with the camera on hand, following him and telling the story at the same time. So that's why sometimes he speaks to the camera as if it was the recorder, the people that are listening to it. So so that was the first vision. And at the end, I had very clear, and in this case, he helped me with that his own story, it should be said straight to the camera without reading the text. Although it is a dramatized reading, but in this case, the last part of it, as you could see, is just him talking to the camera without the text, all that big text that we did with a teleprompter, because it was his idea, and it was a very good idea to do it like this.
Thank you. And just adding on to what you were saying, Jorge, that it's a platform that suddenly opens more possibilities. And we had some people joining us from different parts of the world. For example, there were people from Buenos Aires, the UK, Spain. And yes, I think that's a great opportunity in order for them to know more about this play in particular, and in general with this season about Spanish playwrights in translation as well. So I think that opens a lot of doors.
Now I have seen that in Instagram there is people called Planet the Clash, that they said bravo, and they are following us at the moment. So
that's great. That's great. Well, I'm gonna do a last round, kind of opening, so that if you have anything else to add, Juan Alberto, Lauren, Robert, Jorge.
Well, Juan Alberto could tell us what are you doing now? Mm-hmm. What are you writing now?
Well, I'm not writing. I'm not writing right now. I'm some holidays of writing. But I'm thinking about writing a next play. Yeah. Well, I wanted to thank you all for a great job. What a great job for 2 days rehearsals. And I would love to chat with Robert about the play. I'm sure he can tell me where the weakest spots of the play are. And of course, congratulations to Lauren for what I think it's a great translation.
Okay, well, thank you all. Thank you, Juan Alberto, Jorge, Robert, Lauren. It's been a pleasure talking to you and seeing the work. And I want to thank you, everyone, for watching the dramatized reading and for staying here with us. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Acción Cultural Española, the Cervantes Institute, the Spanish government, and the Spanish Embassy in London for their support. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you next Thursday here with our next dramatized reading, Taxi Girl by Maria Velasco, translated by Jessica Rainey. So have a good night and see you next week.
Bye. Thank you. you.